Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuff and things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
And good morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. There was a baseball game last night.
Yeah, the good one in Philly. Did you see any of the
No, I didn't see any
Red
of that.
Sox? They went back and forth all game.
Did
Go-ahead
they-
grand
Hang
slams,
on a
extra
second.
innings.
The game didn't end on a catcher's interference?
No,
Well, then
no,
it's
that
not
was the
quite
other
as
night.
exciting
Yeah.
as-
All right. I guess you're right. Some exciting games between the Red Sox.
What
and
did
the
happen between how did it end up?
Well, the Red Sox ended up winning.
Well, then it was not a good game.
Well, yeah,
It was
but
an
who
unpleasant
cares?
situation. No, I still don't want the Red Sox.
Yeah, but the Red Sox
no,
are
stop that.
They're troubled. They're not. They're a flawed
all well and
team
good.
this year.
There's
Like
still
they're not
going
to
to
win
scenario
anything.
where it's good if the Red Sox win.
The Red Sox aren't going to win anything this year.
Well,
so
they were down 3-0 in the ALCS once. And
that was a different team.
It was a different team. You're right about that.
This team has one good pitcher, and
What's that?
this Red Sox team has one good pitcher, and that's about it. Crochet, and that's
Yeah, that's true.
Bayo.
That's true. Oh, did I see that Padres are going to trade Dylan Cease?
According to Busteroni, yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah,
am I
but the
missing?
Padres always kind of. I mean, I don't know. I
they have
guess
to be
because it's the National League thing too. Like the National League's stronger, so
Oh, but
like
the Dodgers don't look unbeatable this year.
I know, but maybe the Brewers are unbeatable.
Yeah, okay. I don't think that you're making decisions like, oh, we can't possibly be. What am I missing there? This is the problem, as I always say. I don't pay enough. Somebody asked me yesterday about, like, could the Orioles try to put Adley Rutschman in a Mitch Keller trade? And I was like, have the Pirates just given up on Henry Davis? And I know that that's not a trade. There's no world where you could trade Adley Rutschman straight up for Mitch Keller. Like, that's not happening. Let's stop. That's not occurring. But as an aside, I just realized, like, I know that Henry Davis hasn't been good, but, like, have they just given up on him? Like, I don't know the answer to that question. I just realized how little I'm paying attention to
The rest of baseball.
because the Orioles are so insufferable that, like, what are we doing here? Yeah, I don't think that teams are making their decisions about personnel based on, like, well, there's no way we can beat the Brewers. The Dodgers are up to 60-43. I guess they've been hot recently.
Yeah, they're just always good.
The National League is just loaded, right?
Yeah.
Like it's insane how loaded the National League is. I don't know, man. What's Dylan Cease's situation?
He is. This is a contract year for him. So
I wonder if that's
he's a free
just
agent.
like for the Padres the way it's going to work.
right.
Like we are going to.
We know we're not going to re-sign these.
It's
guy.
like a larger dollar version of the Rays. That this is the way they're going to operate. They are going to acquire players, but they're also going to recognize, no matter what the circumstances are, that they have to try to do as well as they can for those players. And presumably they say, well, we'll only trade Dylan Cease to the American League. Like, that's probably part.
Then Heyman added. So Buster had the first report yesterday, and then Heyman added that the Yankees, Mets, Cubs, and Red Sox are among the teams to check in. So
Red Sox
Yankees,
could
Red Sox,
definitely use
yeah.
pitching. That'd be crazy if the Padres traded him to another National League team. That would be nuts. Waving the white flag when you're like in playoff position would be.
They're 8 games over 500. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, but I mean, in a loaded National League, it'd be just crazy. Yeah, it was weird. I didn't know what to make of that. But also,
Maybe the Orioles should.
don't
acquire.
affect us. Yeah, if they can sign him 100%, by all means.
Yeah, they have the last wild card right now. Like they're 1.5 games up on San Francisco.
Wow. Yeah, the Orioles lost. At least Zach Eflin looked like a pitcher again. There is that. I don't know. Remember yesterday, Dan Szymborski was like, "I think you're too down on Zach Eflin's value at the deadline." And maybe I'm measuring it against the value of, what are we talking about? Like a number 30, number 32 overall pick, something like that is what I'm measuring it against. And so is what you like. Let's, for example, Caden Bodine is going to join us a little bit later on in the show. Is what you acquire more valuable than Caden Bodine? That's sort of the way that I'm approaching this, and why I don't think that the trade price for Zach Eflin would be more valuable than that potential pick, with the caveat of, if you intend to win next year and the player that you're offered is someone that could be Major League ready next year, that could be more valuable. But again, we're opening like 3 different Pandora's boxes when we say that. But if their priority is trading him and they're not thinking about the qualifying offer route, then certainly good news for the Orioles that Zach Eflin at least looked like a pitcher last night. Now, did he look like a front-of-the-rotation pitcher? For a couple innings, he did, right? For a couple innings, you were like, wow, this is kind of reminiscent of the old Zach Eflin. And then that started to come apart, and then they didn't want to push him. They only let him work 5 innings. So did anybody watching last night find themselves saying, that's our number 2 starter in the playoffs? I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be hard-pressed to think that, but I don't know.
Just because of the coming off the injury thing, so that's why you only pull him after 5 innings. But yeah, I mean, we've seen him go deeper. We've seen him go deeper this season. Like, I think everyone knows what he's capable of. So, I mean, like, so what's the a 30 give or take 30th overall pick give or take versus, I mean, like, what would they have to get back? Like 2 prospects or 2 top 30 prospects from another team? Like, is that? Do you weigh that higher?
Yeah, this is on. Like, where will Caden Bodine be ranked when their new prospect list comes out? Like, is he? I think he's a top 15 probably prospect within the Orioles system. Now that speaks to, this is a very depleted Orioles system. That's part of what we're dealing with here. But considered the top catcher in college baseball last year, I would think that he'd be a top 15 prospect. So how do you measure, to your point, like if you get somebody else's top number 19 and number 26, is that more? I couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the wrong guy to be able to, but I think that's what the Orioles are having to do, is measure to them what's more valuable, that type of player. And again, there's the other world, which is that Zach Eflin doesn't turn things around in the second half, does not demand real contracts, and just says, I'll take the qualifying offer and I'll pitch for you next year, which I absolutely still think could be in play. So we'll see. But look, Zach Eflin did look like a pitcher. Felix Bautista didn't get to look like a pitcher last night because,
well, he lost his job to Colin Selby. That's
exactly. We always knew this day was coming, because no one gets to have nice things around here. Felix Bautista unavailable in a close game late. I don't know that it's panic time. I mean, I don't know. He just said, Tony Mansolino, after the game, Felix Bautista sent a message in the 7th inning that he would be unavailable. Quote, something didn't feel right, so we shut him down. We'll have more information by tomorrow, unquote. I don't, as I've said a couple times, I don't think the Orioles are going to trade Felix Bautista, but if they are, this type of thing is fortifying for those whose argument is you should always try to trade a reliever and get it at the height of their value, because this is how volatile they are. Now, again, we don't know anything about this. Or it could be that he could pitch today. I don't know.
Yeah, diarrhea maybe. Like,
that's a good point, Griffin. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Just
What did he
it's
say?
gonna be
Something
fine.
didn't feel right. Yeah, that
something
definitely
didn't
doesn't feel right.
Ooh.
You're right. There's no doubt
He gets
about
up,
it.
He
That-
just stands up and he's like, no.
Yeah,
no,
nope,
no, no.
nope. I'm not sitting right here. Boy, hell of a time to find a seventh inning. It's to the point. Like, what would change in the seventh inning? How are you available before the game but not available in the seventh inning? You're not wrong. The itis could do that to you. Now I'm thinking about. Thanks a lot, bud.
I mean, we don't know. It's
Try to.
could be anything.
I'm thinking of stories of my own situations
when
where
you
my
had
stomach maybe got the best of me and I was trying to do some other things. Like maybe, for example, calling a game.
oh man,
When,
I don't think I've hit
dude,
that.
I got a kidney stone once when I was calling.
That's right. That's right.
was
That
calling
was
a game.
recent.
No, I got another one.
Oh, this has happened
No,
multiple
no,
times.
The second one happened before I was to call the game. Like
okay.
I was on my way to the stadium to call the game, and thankfully I called Gary Stein while I was doubled over in the parking lot and said, Gary, you live right down the street. Could you please come call? He's like, well, I don't know anything about the team. I said, Gary, I have to go to a hospital. All right, bud, I'll be there. No, this happened to me once while I was in Aberdeen calling a game.
Oh man.
2014, 15, something like that, calling a baseball game. And like the fourth inning, I started feeling something, but didn't know what it was. And by the fifth inning, because I had never had one before, this time I knew what was going on because I experienced it before. The first time, I thought I had appendicitis. Like I thought I was gonna die. I'm going to the bathroom. Like the inning would end, and I'd say, we'll be back with more from Ripken Baseball on SFMSports.net. And then I'd run to the bathroom, and I'd try to puke, and nothing was coming out.
Oh God.
And then I'd and this is what the broadcast sounded like. There's a ball.
As you hold the mic away.
Ball two. And eventually my boss up at Ripken, he comes in, he says, you okay? No. Said, well, we could just like see if we can get somebody to come in and finish that. And ended up in the hospital because I had never dealt with it before and I didn't know if it was appendicitis. I was trying to drive to the hospital and I could not drive.
Oh God.
And so I pulled over at the Cracker Barrel in Riverside.
That's a good one.
And I called my wife.
Well, you probably could have eaten Cracker Barrel too, and that would have just went right through it.
It might have solved all the problems.
Yeah.
Called my wife 18 times, did not answer the phone. She was, I think, drunk. I don't know. Then I called my parents because I need to call somebody. What was I going to do? Call Kyle Ottenheimer? I called my parents.
Could have
Like,
maybe
think-
Kyle would have.
I don't know. Maybe it's appendicitis. I don't know. Can you please come? Because I just come get me and drive me to the hospital. They called an ambulance. It cost me like $2,000.
Oh my God.
Something obscene. I don't remember what it was.
If I ever need an ambulance,
Oh,
for anyone listening, just
when
let
I
me die.
when
Let
I
me die.
had a seizure, whatever year that was, my buddy's parents' driveway, and his sister, is screaming, and I kind of come to a little bit, and I'm like, what the hell? What's going on?
Jeez.
But I still can't figure. I don't. I'm hearing them all talk, but I can't convey anything. I am not. I'm just aware that something. I'm laying on the asphalt of a driveway, and I hear them saying we need to call 911. And apparently, all I was able to muster was, "Don't call an ambulance, just drive me." Apparently, I was able to muster that from my previous experience with an ambulance.
Well, you're correct.
So thankfully they did. They just drove me to the
Okay.
hospital that time, which was nice. Anyway, how do we get? Oh, the itis, the Felix.
yeah,
Bautista
hopefully
thing.
Felix Bautista is okay.
Yeah, hopefully he is. If he's not, then whatever. I don't want to obsess over it. The Orioles will play another game today because again, that's what the schedule dictates they do. You can watch it, you can not watch it.
Primetime baseball, the only game on. They're
Well,
like
it's
the
not
only
prime time. It's afternoon baseball. but-
exclusive baseball.
There you go.
Exclusive time baseball.
Good. The world needs to see the Orioles.
Only game at 1 today.
Exactly where we are. All right. Now, with that said, the other story yesterday was the start of Ravens training camp.
Yes.
By the way, today's show is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Of course, Ravens training camp is in Owings Mills. I think you know that. And there's a Game Day Men's Health location in Owings Mills. That's the one that I go to personally. 443-264-4454. I'm using peptide treatment because I just was feeling not like myself. I was feeling sluggish. I was feeling run down. I thought I might be low T. I got a complimentary testosterone test from Game Day Men's Health, and you can too, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. They said you're not low T, but that doesn't mean you don't feel the way that you feel. So what can we do? And they recommended peptide treatment, and no pun intended, it's given me a pep. I have felt different. You might be dealing with erectile dysfunction, or at least feeling like it, because sometimes it's not actually erectile dysfunction. I don't know all of the details, but they can explain it to you better. But if it is, they provide treatment for erectile dysfunction. Perhaps you're dealing with stubborn belly fat that just won't come off. Once upon a time, it was easy for you to work off belly fat, but it's not like that these days. Whatever it is, these are issues that men deal with. You don't like talking about with your friends. You could use a safe space to discuss them. Game Day Men's Health is pleasant from the moment that you walk in. The staff is wonderful. It sort of feels a little bit like a doctor's office for guys. But it's not pandering. It's just a pleasant space to be to deal with these things. Again, GameDayMen'sHealth.com, Owings Mills, Frederick, and Columbia are their 3 locations. The Ravens report to training camp, or they reported 2 days ago. They hold their first practice of training camp. You will never get me, as Chris Erich says in the song. God bless. This is part of the reason why I can't do it anymore. Once upon a time, I was a Ravens beat writer. I was there every day, and I had to try to pretend like anything that was happening mattered. You'll never get me to, oh boy, what a throw from Lamar Jackson to Zay Flat.
I mean, I would prefer that it's a complete pass.
Yeah, I don't care if every pass he throws during training camp is incomplete. I don't care.
Might start caring a little bit.
As long as
you see what Shedeur was doing at OTAs?
When they play games,
barely threw any
those passes are complete. That's the part that I care about. 2 topics that have gotten attention this week related to the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. I'll work backwards because I didn't bring it up yesterday. I meant to. It's my fault. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess, maybe it was before that. I don't know. The Lounge is a podcast that Garrett Downing and Ryan Mink do internally for the Baltimore Ravens. It's an internal podcast. It is it's PR. It's part of their PR strategy. It's not like a journalistic podcast, but I get it. We live in 2025, and those lines are blurred. They brought up what a lot of people talk about related to the Ravens, which is the concept of Super Bowl or bust. John Harbaugh gave an answer that I think warrants conversation and not the immediate sort of pithy responses that we gave it. Here's what John Harbaugh said in response to that question.
All this garbage about do or die, or about more about like bust, Super Bowl or bust, all that kind of stuff. It's just so phony. I mean, anybody that says something like that has never actually accomplished anything, because they understand it's about process and it's about who you become. You want to win a championship, you got to become a champion. You got to be a champion. You got to do the things that champions do, and then you go in there and fight and you let the chips fly, and see if you can win it. And that's what we've been doing. Our guys have been doing that at a championship level. We haven't won the championship yet. Okay, is that going to be in our future? Who knows? No one knows the future. We're not given to know the future. Read your Bible, But we are given to take care of the day and today and what the moment, and be in the moment, and to take care of one another, have each other's back, share a vision, share an understanding, fight as hard as you can, for that vision, that understanding, for that brotherhood for one another, and then, let the chips fly. And that's what our guys are going to do.
So it's easy. The easiest thing in the world to do is respond to these comments by John Harbaugh by saying something along the lines of, this is why the Ravens don't win Super Bowls. Or this is why this guy's got to, like, it's dumb, it's breathless, it's irrelevant. On the flip side, John also knows the truth. It's a weird thing because I say it all the time. Like, the only thing that matters for the Ravens coming into the season is, are they going to win the Super Bowl? Is this finally going to be the year that they do it? That's the only thing that matters. And big picture, that's true. But as I've said before, even for fans, John's point is true. The memories that are made, the process, the experiences that you have as being a part of a team, it's why I want my kids to play sports. My son, my 10-year-old's team, lost their championship baseball game, and he made memories that will last forever. John, you don't have to like it, but is right. Now, the read the Bible stuff, that's, it's up to you. If you'd like to, do not. I don't care if you read the Bible. God bless you. Okay, you can read lots of books. I've been trying to finish the Raffi Nadal book the last couple of weeks. But the process does matter. The journey does matter. And even for fans, the journey should matter. The moments that I've enjoyed, I've talked openly about, like, just sitting ever since I got out of the studio and have been able to be at home and watch games with my kids, seeing their joy. That December Dolphins game from a couple years ago, like, I was emotional afterwards. Femi called me out for it. Like, I was emotional about it. Because as a dad, I hadn't been able to do that. I'd always been in studio on game days. I'd never watched games with my kids. And seeing a game that mattered and was an ass-kicking and, like, was fun. Seeing the joy it gave them and how into it they were, and thinking about how I didn't have a team when I was their age. My father and I didn't get to share that. It hit me how lucky I was that I got to have those moments with my kids. When you guys have gone on the road to go to, Houston or San Francisco or wherever and spent holidays watching Ravens games and with your friends and your family and gone with Be More Around Town or one of these groups and had these that stuff matters. It's real. And ask someone who's a fan of the Arizona Cardinals if it feels the same way. It does, even for fans. John is kind of being an asshole in the way that he, these people don't know anything. No, they do. They do. I promise you, they do. They know how meaningful it is that the team has been good and competitive every year because it's created memories for them. I've seen it. We've hosted events with Tyus Bowser and Arthur Millette. Happy for Arthur, signing with the Texans this week. I've seen it where we've had massive crowds turn out for big events late in the season because there's that much excitement surrounding the team. Because this matters. We all want to win the Super Bowl, but it matters. Businesses do well because of it. It's good for our community. In that way, it is unfair to say Super Bowl or bust. Because we all know that if they're not winning the Super Bowl, You know.
What is he? He's won one?
I mean, believe it or not, I know we all think that John Harbaugh is an incompetent boob, but, like, he has won a Super Bowl. Like, he does know how to win a Super Bowl. I know it's an inconvenient part of the story. I do understand that. But, yeah, like, I have no doubt that he's sensitive about it because of that. But it's still the way that it works. Like, they have put rosters together that should be good enough to win championships, and they haven't won championships, and it does matter. And at some point, you do have to be judged for that. And I've been defensive of their decisions to keep John Harbaugh and to not blow things up the last couple of years, but there is a line. At some point, you do have to step in and say, whatever's happening, we're not getting over the hump. Now, I don't know. I don't know when that is. Is it me saying, a lot of people want to say, well, this year it should be either you go to the Super Bowl or you get fired. Dude, there's like a million things in between those two things. Is it as I said last year, is it John Harbaugh's fault that Mark Andrews didn't catch a ball?
Should have coached him better.
Or that Lamar Jackson tossed the ball up insanely when momentum was on their side? I don't know. Like, if you want to say, hey, John Harbaugh needs to be responsible for the discipline of Mark Andrews not running laterally across the field, like, he does answer to that. Like, if the guys are getting away from the game, that needs to be the type of discipline and calm that he brings to say, not needed. Not needed. Just play the game. I could understand that judgment. But dropping the ball in the end zone? Really hard for me to put that on John Harbaugh. I understand. I don't want this to come off as like a both sides thing, but there are two very viable, legitimate arguments to be made here. John is very sensitive about it because he keeps hearing about it. But the Ravens have put together, they have the type of roster that should be championship worthy. And it hasn't gotten there yet. And yet, the points that he does make, again, maybe not the Bible part, not for everyone, but for people that read the Bible, if you're a religious person, maybe that resonates with you. I don't know. But the points that he does make are warranted. They're relevant. The journey does matter. The experience does matter. And not just for the players involved. It matters for us, too. And it has been, I have been grateful that the Ravens have been so relevant that, like, my younger son desperately wanted to go to the Ravens Ice Festival last year. That was really neat for me, to spend a Friday night with my son down at the stadium doing ice putt-putt and him being excited about the Ravens and wearing his Ravens stuff. As a dad, that was incredibly special. When I tried finally, because Rita kept mocking me for the fact that the Ravens lost and I still had the car stencils on my car, I went one day to start washing one off at a gas station, and my son wept. And I stopped. And a little bit, about, like, he was upset the Ravens a lot, but what he was really upset about was that I was wiping off the memory of a night that he and I spent together. That shit matters. It's a offense, right? Like, that's a offense, right? Like, that's a good thing. Yesterday was John Harbaugh's first press conference since then, and Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner, and I appreciate this about Kyle. Kyle asked a question. He knew the head coach of the team wasn't going to like the question being asked. But a lot of people in this town were not thrilled to see John Harbaugh spending time with the President of the United States. And so Kyle Goon asked a question about it. Here's the interaction between Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner and Ravens head coach John Harbaugh from yesterday.
Visited the White House with your brother, obviously for the divisive political time. In the past, Donald Trump has said kind of denigrating things about Baltimore, including that he would want to be there. As a prominent representative of Baltimore and Maryland, how do you kind of balance that?
Well, how you frame that question? I would frame the question like, you got a chance to go visit with the president, man. What was that experience like? It was amazing. It was awesome. And I promise you, I root for our president. I want our president to be successful, just like I want my quarterback to be successful, and I want my team to be successful. And it was an amazing experience. It's not often you get invited and you get a chance to do something like that as a family. We were there. My daughter was there. Jim's daughters were there. My mom and dad were there. My mom and President Trump. Just seeing how he treated her was really meaningful. And that's the 4th president. Now Jim met 7. Jim has met 7 presidents, so he's got the lead on me. I think he pointed it out. Did you guys notice that? Right, he's got 7. I got 4. So had a chance to meet President Obama twice. Incredible experience. Had a chance to meet President Biden when he was vice president in Iraq and spent a lot of time with him in Iraq, which was amazing. And then, 24, 25 years old, Jim got invited also to the White House to meet President Reagan because he was a Heisman Trophy candidate. And we got to go as a family, so I met President Reagan, have a picture in my office of that. So
those are moments that I definitely cherish, and it means a lot.
So, a couple things here. I don't, again, I'm the wrong person to ask, because I genuinely do not care what John Harbaugh's opinion is about the president, or that he went to visit the president. It impacts my world in 0 ways. I don't care. I think ultimately the answer that John Harbaugh gave was a fair one. I'll visit any president. If I get invited to go to the White House, I'm going to go. And I visited other presidents before. Of course, we know when the Ravens won the Super Bowl, it was President Obama. He brings up other presidents that he's met. I'll always do that. And a lot of people would share that opinion. To a lot of people, the office of the president is more important than whoever the person is that's holding the office. Now, that is not how everyone feels. And I understand that. And, there's a lot of stuff we don't know about this current president. A lot of stuff we do know about the current president. Starting to wonder what we might be finding out in the next couple of weeks and months.
What are you talking about? That doesn't even...
I know. I don't know why anybody's talking about it. I know. Why do all you should really talking about is these other things. I understand. I've been able to sort of live this world where, it's nice for me that I don't have to care about it. I don't know that I'll always have that luxury. It might very well be that, at some point I'll have a job that requires me to care more about this topic. But at the moment, I don't. The moment, I'm able to just say I don't care. I care about whether the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't care what John Harbaugh does as far as, his political leanings or his beliefs. He didn't stump for President Trump specifically. I think we might have reason to believe that John Harbaugh is a supporter of the president, but he didn't do that in the answer. He just said, I visit presidents, and I'll always do that. And that is John Harbaugh's right. My issue is that we're so lost that we don't recognize that this was good. This was a win for journalism yesterday. Calgoon asked a question that he knew the subject wouldn't like, but asked it anyway because he knew it reflected the opinions and the feelings of a lot of people in town. In hindsight, hearing how John Harbaugh reacted, I think it would have been good, and this is not a knock on Kyle because Kyle didn't know how John was going to answer. I think the part that Kyle wanted to know about was, does it matter to you that the president has sort of frequently targeted Baltimore? And I think with another opportunity, if the way it had been approached was, I understand that you chose to visit the office of the president. I wonder if you considered at all how many derogatory things this president has said about Baltimore and the people of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. And if you considered that, chose to ask him about that, would like to talk to him about that. I wonder if that, because you could sense that John was on the defensive. It was very clear that, like, hey, beforehand, he and Chad Steele and other people involved, the Ravens, probably talked about, hey, you know this is going to come up. Somebody's going to ask about it. Like, they want to know always what you're writing about and what you. That's another part of the reason why I've kind of stepped back is that, like, I want to be able to just go over and cover the team. I don't want to have to get approval from the team about what it is that I do. But they undoubtedly knew that it was going to come up, and you could sense there was an amount of aggressive. Well, let me tell you how you should ask that question. Sort of sounds like, hey, instead of talking about this, maybe we should talk about this. It's weird. I've heard tactics like that from other people recently. And knowing that, it might have been good to be able to say, hey, I completely understand. I just wonder about the other part of it. You're a prominent representative of this city, and this person, whatever their title is, has been, but particularly because they're the president, has been particularly derogatory towards the city and the people of the city and the people of this community. A lot of people think the administration is targeting the state of Maryland. You might have seen this week that the flooding in western Maryland, they denied emergency relief. And a lot of people seem to think that's just because it's vindictiveness from the president. This state didn't vote for me, so F them. Now, I don't know that. I don't know enough about that's the opinion that a lot of people hold. So, in hindsight, I think that part of it is the more interesting part. And Kyle Goon wrote a column about it. And Kyle Goon's opinion is that he doesn't think that John Harbaugh should have posed for a picture with a president that has been so derogatory of the city of Baltimore. I can respect that opinion. Can I tell you that I share it? Again, I would be lying if I said that. I don't care. I don't. But I think there's a point there. Absolutely, I think there's a point there. Or did you use your audience with the president to try to champion Baltimore and what you know about Baltimore and the place that you've called home for a really long time? The president apparently wanted to speak with you. Did you use that opportunity to say, hey, I think you got some things wrong about the city? Now, would the president listen? Almost certainly not. Let's be abundantly clear about that. It would probably fall on deaf ears. But it would be interesting to know if that's something that John Harbaugh thought about, was concerned about. Does it matter in terms of whether they're going to win the Super Bowl or not? Not at all. Not one bit. But everything that happened here is kind of how journalism works. Kyle asked a question, despite the fact that he knew that the subject wouldn't like it. The subject is a relevant, significant figure within the community. He asked a question that was relevant to the community. He shared, as a columnist, his opinion about the subject in a fair way. Other people have different opinions about the subject. Clearly, Bobby Trossett, who used to work at WBAL and now does the Ravens Vault podcast, he has a different opinion. I don't know if that's because he loves the president. I don't know. But
well, he's Bobby Baltimore, so he loves Baltimore.
I've known Bobby for a very long time. I helped him get into the place that I like Bobby in that way. I said before, the Bobby Baltimore thing is awful. It's just fire it into the sun. God. And I'd say that I don't know if he wants my opinion or not. I don't care. Like anyone who thinks they speak on behalf of the city, or that you're not. There isn't a collective. And I don't think John Harbaugh speaks on behalf of the city either. But he is a prominent figure in the city. One of the most prominent figures. And it would be interesting to know if that was something that mattered to him. Did you think about it at all? That'd be interesting to know. I think we know. I think we can assume the answer. But I think it would be interesting to know. Was that something that crossed your mind at all? To discuss that? You have an opinion of Baltimore. I want to tell you about the Baltimore that I know. Would it matter? Almost certainly not. But it'd be interesting to know if that was something that he thought about. John Harbaugh has the right to visit the president. He has the right to, if he wants to support the president, he has the right to do that. The people that don't like it have the right to not like it. That's the nice part about how this country has worked for a really long time. And I hope will continue to work.
Hopefully.
I hope that we all have the right to have those feelings, to share them without consequence. And what Kyle did was particularly good journalism. And what John did was also fine too. He has the right to answer the question the way that he wants. Kyle has the right to respond the way that he wants in his column space. This is proof of the American system. Everything here was good. Unless, again, if you have an issue, you're not going to be happy with the way that John Harbaugh answered the question. But that's really what comes out, is what your opinion is about the subject. Objectively, as far as journalism goes, this is exactly how it's supposed to work. Kudos to Kyle Goon for that. We'll talk actual football. Mark Ross, a Super Bowl champion in the front office with the New York Giants. Now with the NFL Network, we're going to talk to him about how the AFC North shakes out when we come back in. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
For fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't, I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantopoulos family for going on 30 years. They're open for lunch and dinner, same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1970. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, they have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
This August, the PGA Tour's best are coming to Maryland. The 2025 BMW Championship tees off August 12th through 17th at Caves Valley Golf Club in Owings Mills. See the top 50 players battle it out in the penultimate event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Don't miss your chance to witness world-class golf, fan experiences, and unforgettable moments. Tickets are on sale now at BMWChampionship.com. The BMW Championship, where legends take the lead.
Summer just got a whole lot merrier at Live Casino. Win your share of $30,000 during Christmas in July. Earn entries starting July 1st. Dash in on Saturday, July 26th to be one of 50 winners to unwrap top-of-the-line electronics, home appliances, free play, and other great gifts. Go all in on good cheer at Live Casino. At Erndale Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR. If you missed it earlier this week, Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson got together, as they do every Monday, to talk some Orioles, talk some baseball. Find it facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Click on the videos tab. Go to youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's shows are brought to you by the Costas Inn and the all-new Costas Inn, now open in Timonium at the racetrack. Our next guest is an NFL Network analyst. NFL Network provides coverage of Back Together Weekend this Saturday and Sunday with daily editions of Inside Training Camp, airing on July 28th to August 6th. He knows a thing or two about building a Super Bowl champion. He is Marc Ross, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Marc, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you as always. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Of course, my pleasure.
Marc, I saw you guys on the Insiders talking about how the AFC North shakes out and who the biggest threat is to the Baltimore Ravens. And with respect to our friend Bucky Brooks, I'm in this weird place with the Steelers where when I say I'm dismissive of them, I'm not fully dismissive of them. They could have you or I playing quarterback, and I think Mike Tomlin is good enough that he's going to figure out a way to win 9 games. Like, that's just the respect that I have for Mike Tomlin. But actual expectations for a team that on paper doesn't really even, even if they had a great quarterback, I would think that they were, good. They have a couple of really obvious exceptional players, like T.J. Watt and Hayward, and DK Metcalf is not exceptional, but really good. I just don't think they're that good of a roster to begin with, and I have no expectations that Aaron Rodgers can be a difference maker at this point in his career to elevate a roster. I cannot possibly see them as a threat to actually do something in the postseason.
Yeah, I think the Steelers' aura has been carrying them for the last, 4 or 5 years, and the Tomlin aura, and the Tomlin can make something out of nothing, and that's all fun and good from the outside, but talk to any Steelers fan, and they are disgruntled over I've got good friends and family that are Steelers fans. That's not what's supposed to be the standard there in Pittsburgh, just to have an over 500 record. It's supposed to be Super Bowls. It's supposed to be making the playoffs and being in contention for the playoffs. And I think even now, so the aura of the Steelers is carrying them. And I 100% agree with you that team just isn't very good. And you really saw that towards the last 8 games of last year where, let's just talk about the defense. And it completely fell apart. And it fell apart because they don't have any players over there. And, outside of T.J. Watt, and we love Cam Hayward. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, but, he's almost as old as I am at this point. And T.J. Watt, if he doesn't go in and dominate games, you look up and down that defensive side, there's not a lot of players. They're taking a huge swing with Jalen Ramsey, whose better days are way behind him, and Darius Slay, whose better days are way behind him. So I think the defense will be almost average again and not a difference maker. And then going to the offensive side of the ball, I've been done with Aaron Rodgers since his, last year with the Packers. I never bought into the whole hype of him going to the Jets. I was correct. Year 2, I was correct. Last, all of this with Aaron Rodgers, he just can't do it anymore. And then outside wide receiver and really no threat at running back. So I just don't think it's a very good roster, number one. And the goal is to keep Tomlin's streak intact, not to have any sort of serious playoff contention.
What are the Cincinnati Bengals, Marc? Because I agree with your premise, which is that they are the bigger threat to the Ravens in the AFC North. But I never know how to fairly judge a team that, obviously they have turmoil on top of, they already had defensive issues. They don't even have their best defensive player there right now. And, the first-round pick that they thought could help that, God knows how that's all going to play out. But even if they get those things worked out, and usually that's the case in these situations, even if they get that worked out, what can they do with a defense that still appears to be as limited as they are?
Yeah, I picked the Bengals just because for all those reasons. I don't like the Steelers, but again, at least with the Bengals, you've got the big 4 quarterback in Burrow and a guy like Chase who can go nuts in a game and just take over games. So they're going to score. They can do that, and they'll be a fun team to watch. But just as far as serious threat, I don't see that at all. And that defense, as you mentioned, was one of the worst in the league last year. Couldn't stop anybody. And you're really looking at the same thing again this year. Even with the sack leader in the NFL, they couldn't stop anybody. And you draft someone in the first round that you hope can help Trey, and they can't get that done. And it's really an indication of the way the Bengals organization has been run versus comparing it to the way the Ravens run, where, maybe inside, internally with the Ravens, there's some nitpicking, but from the outside, I mean, they're really the standard of how you draft players, you develop players, and you sign players, and you keep players, and you trade for good players, and you do the right things, whereas the Bengals are just in a state of flux with that. So they'll be fun. Burrow will be fun. Chase will be fun. T. Higgins. But overall, I don't see them as a serious threat in the playoffs just because that defense is so bad.
Two-time Super Bowl champion Marc Ross with us here on GCR. Mark, with all that said, for as much praise as you heap on the Ravens, and I understand all of it, the obvious retort is, but yet they still haven't won a Super Bowl or even reached a Super Bowl in the Lamar Jackson era. And John Harbaugh this week got very defensive about the idea of there being a Super Bowl or bust. And he made some relevant points in that conversation, but I do keep kind of coming back to, in a way, the Ravens report to training camp, and it's kind of boring for us here in Baltimore because there really is only one topic that matters, and we can't get an answer to that conversation. So when I ask, hey, can this finally be the year, I know there really is no answer to that. We can't figure that out until we get to January football.
Yeah, they just got to do it, and I picked them last year to win it. I picked them the year before, and I'm going to pick them again this year just because I do think they're the best team in the league, and there's no more excuses. They just have to do it. They got to do it. And it won't be fun to get to the AFC Championship. It won't be fun for them to, what were they, 14-3 last year, whatever. That's not – okay, great. Let's go win this thing. And, when you play at such a high level and you set this standard, you have to really live up to that, and you can't shy away from it and say, we did all these things and we haven't won. No, you got to do it, Harbaugh. I work with Harbaugh back in Philly, and so he knows the standard. We were like that too, where we went to 4 NFC Championship games, and the fans get spoiled. Like, this is not good enough. You got to go win it. Got to the Super Bowl, didn't win it, but it's almost the same thing with Lamar and the Ravens, where you do all these wonderful things, but the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl. And anybody in that building who says otherwise, they're just not being honest with themselves. I mean, you got teams that have no chance of making the playoffs talking about they're going to win the Super Bowl, so you better talk about it in that building. And I think, a little to everything that has to go right, but they'll be in the mix, but they just got to get it done.
I would go to the point of, like, we certainly know that Lamar Jackson cares this deeply about it, right? Like, if you ask the same question to him, there's no doubt in my mind that he says, hell yeah, it's Super Bowl or bust. I have to win a Super Bowl. That's the way that he feels. Do you have a sense for it? Like a year ago, obviously the struggles were early on defensively for the Baltimore Ravens. They kind of got a little bit behind the 8 ball because of that. I feel like they should be able to put themselves in a better position. I know the schedule is very difficult to start the year, but based on how the defense came together in the second half last year with Zach Orr, and then making some additions with Jair Alexander and their first couple of draft picks, do you feel like they should be in a better place to get off to a stronger start and maybe not fall behind and have to climb out of a hole and end up with a lower seed and having to go on the road earlier in the playoffs the way that they did last year?
Yeah, I would expect to see this defense continue how they were those last 9 games, maybe even be better. And I think people assume similar to the way with the Steelers, I talked about the aura and just the way they do things. The same thing with the Ravens. The defense is going to be good. Zach Orr's been there, but it takes time. Any kind of job you have, if you get elevated, you have to learn how to do that job effectively, and then learn how to do it, proficiently, and then learn how to do it as one of the top people. And I think the way I saw the Ravens D and Zach Orr, he had to learn. And it's just not easy to be a defensive coordinator, no matter how many great things. Until you're in that position, you have to learn how to do it. So it looked like he figured it out. And now you look at, my goodness, you bring in the best safety in the draft. You bring in a hopefully top 5 corner in the league if he can stay on the field, in Jair Alexander. To me, you got the second best pass rusher who came out the draft, and Mike Green. So those 3 elements to bring into this defense that looked like it did over that last half of the season, yes, they should be better. Nate Wiggins should really even ascend. He's had a good rookie year, but should ascend. So you've got a defensive coordinator who figured it out and should be even better year 2 with a whole completely star-studded influx of talent to go with a lot of other guys that are super talented and top of their positions. They should be a top 2 or 3 defense in the league.
Mark, can you give us perspective as to what one of the topics that is relevant, obviously, going through training camp and the preseason for the Ravens is kicker, which is we're not used to this in Baltimore. It's been a long time since they've been in this position. It probably will be their draft pick, Tyler Loop, although they do have another rookie and undrafted guy in Hoyland who's in camp with them. Is the front office simultaneously aware of who all of the free agent kickers are? And do you feel like they have a timeline in mind? Like, hey, if we get to week 3 and we're not, then we pull. What might this look like for the entirety of an organization who has legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, but is turning things over to a completely unproven kicker with those Super Bowl aspirations?
Yeah, kicker is the most finicky position in the NFL. If you got a guard on the street, you got to sign a guard. You know what they're going to do, or a receiver, a vet receiver, you got to pull off the street. You know what they're going to do. Even a rookie, you kind of know. But kickers, I mean, they're almost, unless you get a guy like the one you had there, where a few exceptions where you just know exactly what you're going to get. You just don't know with this rookie. No matter how good he did in college, until they get into a game in the NFL, you just don't know whether he's going to make the kicks or not, high-pressure situations. And then even veterans, there's veterans that are out there, and, of course, they're monitoring those guys. They have somebody on the ready at any point, those veteran free agents who are on the street now, just in case, the rookie gets there and he falls apart. Hopefully he does play well, but yes, you have to be ready at every week at that kicker position, and you may pull a veteran off a streak. They may hit a hot streak, and he'll be the guy to carry you through. But very, very finicky position, and of course, having somebody there for so many years that was, Hall of Fame level, and now you're in such uncertainty. Yes, you'll be eyeing that very, very closely.
Do you feel like there's a time frame? Like, is it a month? Is it or is it just this lives and breathes?
Unless he just completely just shanking things in practice and in preseason, you're just not going to know until he gets into a real game, and that's the thing with kickers. You just never know how they're going to perform.
No, I certainly understand that, and they had one that we thought was really good a year ago, and that didn't work out. It's just the way that these things go. All right, Mark, before I let you go, the team that we're not talking about enough as things get underway, the team that you think is sort of flying under the radar, that to you can be more compelling than people realize this season.
In the AFC or
I would
just
say overall.
in general,
I feel like it's easier to find one of those teams in the NFC because the NFC is, one team and everybody else.
Yeah, they're pretty wide open there. But I would say, a team that I think the Patriots can do. I think they just they've had such an influx of talent on the coaching side and on the field. And last year Drake May was really a one-man show, and the head coach there had a lot of problems figuring things out. And now you bring in a coach like Vrabel, who has shown he can make a lot out of nothing. Those Tennessee teams weren't the most talented. You had Derrick Henry, and you played tough on defense, but they made things happen. And now you kind of have that same formula, that mindset he'll bring there, and that stability. But then Drake May should be even better, and then they really crush it in free agency with Milton Williams and Carlton Davis and Harold Landry. And then in the draft, they crushed it too with Will Campbell. Of course, up there, you better pick somebody, but Travion Henderson. So I think they've just gotten so much better. And I think they'll be in the mix there. And the Bills are almost like the division here with the Ravens. Like the Bills are the class, but I think the Patriots will be the second team there and fighting for a playoff spot.
At Mark Ross with a C, at Mark Ross on Twitter is how you follow him. Mark, when we seeing you next?
Well, I'm on tonight. Yeah, I'm actually on tonight on the Insiders. Yeah, things going fast, man. Tonight on the Insiders, and then Saturday for our Back Together weekend, I'll be in Chicago. Sunday I'll be in Green Bay. Monday, Green Bay, and then multiple stops after that. Actually coming down to Baltimore next week. I believe
Excellent.
the third. I'll be down there checking out the camp.
Very cool. Mark, appreciate you, man. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. Let's talk again real
Sure
soon, all
thing.
right?
Anytime.
Mark Ross, obviously a couple of Super Bowls as part of the front office with the New York Giants, now with NFL Network, and again, NFL Network providing coverage of Back Together Weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and then daily editions of Inside Training Camp, July 28th through August 6th. Appreciate him taking the time for us. Hour number 1 of today's show is in the books. It was also brought to you by, you see it right there on the hat, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. If you haven't checked out the poker room at Live Casino and Hotel, you got to. It's amazing. There are so many great events, and there's constantly big contests with huge winnings, and it just operates in a way that is mesmerizing. And Sports and Social is always the best place for watching fights and all the big sporting events. Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. No better way to spend your weekend than hanging out down there. Let's switch gears this morning. We had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his schedule down at the complex in Sarasota, but an opportunity to catch up with the number 30 overall pick in the Major League Baseball draft, Caden Bodine out of Coastal Carolina. He's with us now here on GCR. Well, it's a pleasure now to be joined here on GCR by a young man who heard his name called 30th overall by the Baltimore Orioles in the MLB draft. Considered the top catcher in the draft. He's now a part of the Orioles system. He's Caden Bodine, and he's with us now here on GCR. Caden, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to meet you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Caden, I know we've had a couple of weeks now. Have you had a moment where, like, it's hit you, like, this is real, this is happening, I'm a professional baseball player, I'm getting paid to do this, my life is forever changed? Has that, like, hit you at any point in all of this?
It hasn't until about like yesterday. I saw Gary Sanchez in the locker room down here in Sarasota, so it kind of smacked you in the face, and yeah, that's kind of when it hit me.
Did you like get a chance to like talk to him at all and like?
No, not yet, but it was cool to see him though.
I imagine you've got to play it cool, right? Like you're supposed to be here. You can't act like somebody who's like, oh my God, that's Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, inside your little kid's going crazy, so.
That's cool. I appreciate that that's real for you the way it is for everybody else.
Yeah.
Caden, if I could work backwards with you, I want to get to know you a little bit. Where did your passion, I know you're from a family of athletes. Where did your passion come from for baseball, for catching? Why was this the path for you?
I always liked baseball. I was a 3-sport guy, football, wrestling, but baseball I knew was always it. Just started from wiffle ball, having fun in the backyard and getting to know the sport, and it just kind of stemmed from that. And then I started catching when I was 12 and fell in love with it. I kind of caught like a shortstop for a little bit, and then developed like a true catcher's mindset back there. So it was a lot of fun.
Like you mentioned the 3-sport athlete thing. Did you find that having played, this is a big topic in youth sports right now, where the specialization thing people think has gone crazy. Did you find it beneficial for you that you had played other sports so that like you knew baseball was the one that you loved and it wasn't just baseball all the time, and maybe you woke up one day and kind of regretted not having done other things?
Yeah, for sure. Being a 3-sport athlete was a lot of fun. It definitely learned a lot, and it did kind of narrow down the choices. And I think the biggest helper was wrestling, just kind of the accountability piece of it, understanding your body and how it moves, and that kind of transitioned into baseball as well.
Well, that is interesting, like maybe as a comparison to catching, right? Because like you have gained the reputation of being one of the most dynamic defensive catchers, framing catchers. Does wrestling translate in that way? Like, can you describe how maybe that helped you in learning the way that you compose yourself behind the plate?
Yeah, I think so. I think it just develops a mobility piece that you never really would have thought of, because you're in positions whether or not you like it or not on the mat as well. So I think just being flexible and learning how your body specifically moves it helped me directly with catching as well.
It's really interesting. The part when I bring that up is we're chatting with Caden Bodine. Where did the framing part come from? It's such an art. Power doesn't recognize that you're doing it. You're not doing it cartoonishly. How did you learn framing, and what was it that maybe got you to the place where you became known for being such a good pitch framer?
It started at Coastal. I mean, they've been phenomenal with catchers. They have a long track record of great catchers. Specifically, Joe Singley, Coach Schnall, Tucker Frawley. Just really working on being adjustable and short one quick motion throughout every single pitch. And I mean, it's very hard to throw a pitch exactly where it's supposed to be. So learning to, in practice and prep work, just to learn to quote unquote work on the mix ups and the cross ups. So.
Is it safe to say that you might be like opposed to full automated balls and strikes coming to baseball in the future because, you've turned this into such an art over the last couple of years?
I don't know. I mean, it would be pretty cool, but I think the ABS system is good and bad. I think it's good because it does help the egregious strike call, but it's limited to 1 or 2 per game, so that's good.
He is Caden Bodine. He is with us here on GCR. Caden, I think a lot of guys get drafted, and there's like a question as to whether or not they're going to continue as a catcher. I would assume that that catching is a part of your game, and that you absolutely want to be a catcher moving forward.
Absolutely. I've been a catcher since I was 12, like I said, and I've loved it ever since. I'd be willing to try out some different spots, but I know I'm a catcher at heart, and that's what I want to do.
With a lot of guys in a past life, catchers were presumed to be guys that were not quite as productive, right, at the plate. You are kind of the opposite of that, where you've been very productive at the plate as well. Was there ever a point at which anyone encouraged you, hey, maybe don't focus as much on catching, your bat is so valuable? Did you have to deal with any of that at any point in your development? Or, are you the type that says, hey, I want that challenge of both being a high-level catcher and a high-level bat?
It's a challenge for sure, being a good catcher and being efficient on both sides of the plate, being a switch hitter is also very demanding, and I take pride in that, and it's all part of it, just really perfecting the craft and managing the workload and see what works for you, what doesn't work for you is really important. So just understanding your body and what it needs for the calibration of the day, and that's what I'll focus on.
Do you feel like when you're at the plate, you understand the strike zone maybe even better than the umpire does because of how good you are at this as a catcher?
I think it helps. It does. I mean, some days, you see the ball better than others, but catching always kind of gets you recalibrated and seeing the ball well, so I think it definitely helps.
I can understand that entirely. Caden, in the lead up to the draft, walk me through, did you know that, how much connection had you had with the Orioles? Did you realize that you were in play there, and what was the moment like for you?
Yeah, I knew the Orioles were in play, and from that 19 to 30 and 31 range, so that was a lot of fun. I got to talk to them in the fall and right before the draft, so it was a great conversation. And I actually had no idea they were picking me. I don't know if you watched the draft. There was nobody on the couch. The people I work with told me to wait in the back room, and just the transition was a lot quicker than I thought, so it actually ended up me being in the back of the room.
I didn't realize that was the story. So you weren't able to run back in quite in time after you had gotten the heads up that it was happening. You guys were in the process of trying to race back into the room.
Yeah, so I got a text and it said, tune in here, so that was from my agents, and then I literally look up, and then there my name was called. So it was kind of quick, but it also kept me on my toes a little bit, so it was cool.
That's a good story, though, right? Like, you're the one guy that wasn't in the room in order to be able to celebrate it. You can tell that story moving forward. I know.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's funny because last week we were chatting with Butch Thompson, of course, the coach at Auburn, about Ike, and he said, hey, before I let you go, can I say something? I want to tell you about how good Caden Bodine is. And obviously you guys went up against them and had an incredible battle in the tournament. Did you get to know Ike at all? Like, did you guys have any sort of relationship? And is that maybe, like, after they drafted him, knowing, he has caught before, was that part of why perhaps you thought maybe it wasn't going to be the Orioles at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I met him obviously in Baltimore when we were all signing, and no, I had no idea, and he's a good player, and I know he's getting some work in behind the plate and in the outfield, so we'll see what happens. I'm just excited to be teammates with him. He's a great player and a great person. So
Yeah. And look, obviously that type of stuff, that'll work itself out down the road. Like, not stuff that has to be worried about today, that's for sure. That being a part of that run, and obviously, like, there's a standard now with Coastal Carolina, right? But being part of that run, I'm sure there's still heartbreak that you feel about it. But how much did it mean to you to be a part of such a significant run this season?
it was awesome. I mean, the group of guys are hard workers. They put their head down and take a day-to-day approach, and it was just really cool to see because I mean, Coastal's quote unquote a mid major. I don't really agree with that. We're in the top 25 every single year. We make it to regionals every single year. So maybe from the public view it's mid major, but we know it's not. It's been a great program for a long time now. So it was awesome.
Do you take pride in that, though? Like, that there is still this public perception of this being a mid-major, and yet you guys sort of proving it. I mean, obviously you committed at a point where they were still on the heels of having won a national championship, right? But, like, do you guys take pride in that? Or, yeah, continue to doubt us type of thing?
Yeah, I mean it's always in the back of our head, but I mean we usually just focus on the day-to-day approach. But it was nice to prove a couple guys wrong in the Super Regional and in the College World Series. So it was a lot of fun.
How long did it take to get over the championship? Like, are you the type where, like, 2 days later, okay, I'm on to the next thing, or do you still wake up and, like, curse about it sometimes?
Yeah, it definitely sat for a little bit. Those group of guys are my best friends, and I'll be friends with them for a long time, for the rest of my life. So it's definitely sad, but that year you can't be upset with it. We accomplished a lot, and just really came together as a program and developed, and we're really going in the right direction.
There's no question about that, and I think everybody around the country was rooting for you guys. Caden Bodine, just another minute or two here with the Orioles' number 30 overall pick. Caden, what would you want Orioles fans to know about you, the person, the player, the man, like everything it is that you're going to be bringing to the Orioles organization now?
I think just that winning mentality, like a Coastal, we take pride in that, and just attention to detail. Getting better every single day, and looking forward to playing for the Orioles throughout the affiliates, and ultimately making it to the big leagues one day. And I'm just excited to be an Oriole.
Now we need to know about you, like when you're not playing baseball. I know you're a baseball kid, but like when you're not playing baseball, what are you getting into? What should we know about you?
I like to fish a lot. I've never caught a smallmouth, but that's definitely a goal. They got some in Maryland. I like to golf. I'm a big golfer now. I kind of developed over the past couple of years. Similar to baseball, just kind of
what kind of handicap?
little change in gear. I don't do that.
You're not there. Okay.
I shoot anywhere from like 85 to 95. I haven't gotten down into that. So
you've only played for a couple of years. That's remarkable.
yeah, I'm really good off the tee box. Anything inside 100 yards, that's where I struggle.
I wish I could say the same thing. I hit it off the tee. I have no idea where it's going. It could be 2 holes.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, you make your money inside 100 yards, so.
Yeah, I'm not great there either, but it's what it is. And then, okay, so do you, obviously you like fishing. I assume that means you enjoy eating seafood. Obviously, you know that's a big deal up here.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm huge on seafood, but I also wouldn't say I'm cultured in that department. So I think there's definitely some room there.
Okay, when you get up here, you'd be willing to maybe like go out and get some crabs and figure out if you that we can take
exactly.
We can work with that, Caden. That's it's the people who are like, oh no way, and then we're like, hey, that might be an issue. That might be an issue around these parts.
I gotta open up a little bit.
I respect that, man. I completely respect that. I guess as a Jersey kid, too, I would think that you would have been, like, growing up. There's probably a lot of seafood in Jersey, right?
Yeah, there is. I just never been my first choice, but my buddy and I, we went down to Florida, so we caught some fresh mahi, yellowtail, that kind of stuff. So that's increasing there.
Yeah, man, that's the good stuff. I love that. Caden, I know it's on Instagram. It's Caden_Bodine, correct?
Correct.
And then are you on Twitter at all, or are we at the point where, like, you're too young, you're never going to get on Twitter? That's for old people.
Yeah, I've never really posted on Twitter. I have an account, but never really interacted with it.
Good for you. Give him a follow on Instagram. Caden, great to meet you. So happy for you and for your family. We can't wait to see what's next as you make this jump into the pros. Congratulations again, and thank you for spending time with us this morning.
Thank you, of course. Nice to meet you.
It's really great to meet Caden Bodine and look forward to seeing him start working his way through the Orioles system. Appreciate him spending time with us. Devastating news for your theory. Or really devastating diarrhea. I mean, one.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure which it is.
I mean, maybe it was a wipe, and that was over.
You missed it earlier in the show. We were talking about why Felix Bautista wasn't feeling good, and I said, look, maybe it's not that big of a deal, and Griffin said, yeah, it could have been diarrhea. And I, for what it's worth, had not considered that. Well, it appears as though Griffin is as hopeful as the theory might have been. Not that we're ever hoping that anybody has to deal with diarrhea.
Yeah.
Because that sucks, too.
That's next week. Would you rather right shoulder discomfort or diarrhea? That's just you as a person.
As a person?
Yeah.
Right shoulder discomfort 100 times out of 100. What are we talking about? How is that?
Yeah, but then you're not going to be able to throw the ball anymore.
I think I'll live. I think I'll, but wait a second. How long is the right shoulder discomfort for?
I don't know. At least 15 days.
Well, right, yeah, I can deal with that. Over diarrhea?
Yeah.
Yes. I'll take 15 days. But I don't know.
But diarrhea is like 24 hours.
I'm
you know,
41.
like
I'll be 42 in a month. I deal with permanent right shoulder discomfort.
Yeah, well, we'll throw the ball with the boys, you know?
Yeah, I know. I just have to. I'm telling you anymore that we got to play catch. And I'm like, let's work on pop-ups today because then I can throw the ball underhanded. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. So anyway, moral of the story being, Felix Bautista, unfortunately, is dealing with shoulder discomfort, and it has landed him on the IL. What does that mean? It's macro versus micro. Presumably, in the micro, it means Felix Bautista is not being traded. Now, was Felix Bautista ever going to be traded? Probably not. Probably not. Should Felix Bautista be traded? Far more complicated. Or should have he been traded? If I'm assuming that this means he can. I guess,
teams could run their
if the teams could look at the meta, if the Orioles could share, hey, look, it's really not that big of a deal. It's nothing. I guess there's still a world in which he could be traded, but it would be bold because we're talking about a scenario where we're trading him because you're going to get an awful lot in return. So I would say that this should he have been. I don't know. We've been through this too many times for me to. I don't know if he should have been traded. What it means is Felix Bautista, hopefully, this is just a blip on the radar. Hopefully this isn't something more significant. I know how we get. Right shoulder discomfort. Immediately we start thinking to ourselves, boy, this could be disastrous. And if that's the case, then, it's devastating. It's devastating on every level. It's devastating that, if it goes beyond this and it becomes a long-term injury, that it hurts the Orioles if they intended to contend next year. If they didn't intend to contend, and when I say intend, I mean like really intend. If they didn't, then it hurts them because he could have been a valuable trade chip in the offseason too. Bad all around. In the micro, does it matter from a wins and losses perspective? No.
Maybe it helps because now they'll get.
Yeah, I'm not quite.
They'll win even less.
Yeah,
games.
I'm not fully into the rooting for the draft pick part of this just yet, but.
Well, that's what we talked about. 500.
We're getting very close. Oh, I know. It's just that it's easier to do that when that's the intent. Like going into the year,
Right.
it's way easier to be like, hey, man.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm trying to look at it like, what was the year that everyone got, like 2015, that was the year everyone on the Orioles, the Ravens got hurt. And
yeah. Oh, I openly
like,
said I was not rooting for the Ravens. People got mad at me like I was on the team. I swear to God, I wrote a column that I was like, hey, as a fan, I am not rooting for the Ravens. And people were furious. When they beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, I had people messaging me like, suck it. As I said then, like, if Joe Flacco wasn't playing, then they weren't really the Ravens. Like, it'd be one thing if Joe Flacco was playing, then I would want them to win because that's the Ravens. I want them to. It was Jimmy effing Clausen. I don't give a rat's ass if they won or not.
Well.
And yes, by like mid-August, I'll probably be there. I'll probably be on board, but not quite yet. Not quite. Close.
Well,
not
I'm
quite.
I'm already on board. Yeah, they should lose, but I'm also still gonna be cursing at the television when
they
Colin Selby blows, gives up a 2-out double
or having
then a
runners
single.
on first and second and nobody out, or
Second and third.
second and third and nobody out,
God.
and then that. My son, I think I was doing the dishes, and I had the game on my phone as I was doing the dishes, and so he was like coming in and out, and he's still interested. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Well, there's runners on second and third, nobody out." And we're like, "Oh, cool." And then he came back and he wanted to know what had happened when he saw that no runs had scored and there was a runner on first and 2 outs.
I said I was at softball last night, so so I was we were between innings, we were hitting, and so we were all in the dugout, and I pulled it up. I was like, "Oh, look at this! The Orioles have second and third, nobody out. I can't wait to see how they don't score here." And like as a joke, and my friend was like, "Nah, no, come on, they'll get a run across." And then they hit into the fielder's choice at home. And then I was like on deck, and I handed my phone to my buddy, and then he was like, "Oh my God, Cedric Mullins just got picked off." I was like, "No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That's not true." And then sure enough, yeah, of course they did. They didn't score a run. That was fun.
Yeah, I could get it.
That was great.
Even if you think that the result is better if they lose, then you're still going to be. It's the fundamental crap, and it's the stuff that again every time you see it makes you think that they're further and further away from
competing next year.
Mm-hmm. Like, you cannot sell yourself on, this is just a blip on the radar. They just get a couple of pieces in the offseason. They're a World Series contender next year. Don't see it. Don't see it. And every time you see stuff like that, it just, and I get it, like, Cedric specifically won't be a part of it next year, which is a bummer because I love Cedric, and I always will, and I'll always be grateful for everything he's done as an Oriole, but he's not going to be a part of it. Felix Bautista to the injured list. Fun. Lots of good times here in Baltimore. We come back in. We're going to switch gears. There's a filmmaker who's a resident of Annapolis, and her story is quite fascinating. I was not aware of it until this week. She's the granddaughter of the great Ed Sullivan, and she made a doc for Netflix that I watched earlier this week that was incredibly compelling about Ed Sullivan and the role that he played in giving a spotlight to artists who previously couldn't get it. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Margo Precht Speciale when we come back in here on a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
For fans of the Costas Inn, and who isn't, I have some great news. Now there's a second location to go along with 4100 North Point Boulevard. This one is at the Timonium OTB. This is Stan the Fan, and I have been a fan of the Costas Inn and Triantafalo's family for going on 30 years. They're open than for lunch and dinner. Same great Costas feel, same great menu and quality food you've been enjoying for well over 50 years. The exact address on your GPS is 2200 York Road, and their phone number at the new location is 667-406-1975. If you're new to the Costas experience, get ready for a real treat. All wrapped up in a new spacious dining room in Timonium at the OTB. If you want steamed crabs, you have them, and the full menu at 4100 North Point Boulevard. The number for reservations there at Costas, 410-477-1975.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts. Visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, we celebrate the first ever Baltimore basketball player to reach the Naismith Hall of Fame as we talk to those who knew Carmelo Anthony best about how his Baltimore upbringing shaped his legendary career. Also inside, Bo Smoke profiles Ravens second-round pick Mike Green, and find our annual summer travel section with information on some of the best sporting events and activities in Maryland that your family can check out all summer long. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Don't forget the Maryland 5-Star is back this October at Fair Hill in Cecil County. If you've never been, it's time. I'm telling you, I didn't know anything about equestrian the first time I went. And I thought, what am I getting myself into? What is it that I'm watching? I don't even know. And you'll be amazed by the equestrian part of it. There's no doubt about it. Like, especially if you go on Saturday on race day, it's going to blow your mind seeing these jumps. These people are psychopaths that choose to do these. These horses are amazing. That part's incredible. World-class competition, Triple Crown of Equestrian. But it goes beyond that. Because it's also a celebration of fall in the state of Maryland. There's also the Food and Wine Festival. There's also incredible shopping. All of those things. I love the Maryland 5-Star. Go every year now. Maryland5star.us with the number 5. Maryland5star.us. Get your tickets. They are on sale now. A little bit different than what we typically do on this show, but as I told you, I was unbelievably compelled by a documentary film that debuted this week on Netflix, and it happened to be made by a local person, and there's a sports connection. Had to do it a little bit earlier, but we had the opportunity to meet Margo Precht Speciale. We'll explain it right now here on GCR. Well, earlier this week, a documentary debuted on Netflix, and I had the opportunity to spend some time watching it, and it's incredibly compelling. It's called Sunday Best, and it's the story of Ed Sullivan and the Ed Sullivan Show and the role that the Ed Sullivan Show and the man himself played in allowing a larger voice for black artists and for artists that were not represented at that time in our country. And joining us now to tell us a little bit more about it, she is the producer of Sunday Best, but on top of that, she's one of our own. She's a Maryland person. She is an Annapolis resident, and she's the granddaughter of Ed Sullivan. It's a pleasure to welcome to the program Margo Precht Speciale, who's with us this morning here on GCR. Margo, it's Glenn. It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I hope you're not hearing my dogs in the background.
Oh, no, and we wouldn't even mind if we were. We wouldn't mind that a little bit. Margo, a lot of times when I speak to a filmmaker, one of the first questions I ask is, where did your interest in the subject come from? I guess that part of the interview is a little bit self-explanatory.
Yeah.
How long was this something that you knew you wanted to do, and how did it come about that you were able to get this cast of characters together to make this a little bit more than just your own personal interest in telling the story?
Wow, that's a lot of questions. So my interest, obviously, it's part of my legacy. And I knew that, obviously my grandfather was famous, but most younger people, including people that I'm friends with, really knew him as, oh, he's the guy that introduced Elvis or the Beatles. And after, and if you would look him up on the internet, it was just Ed Sullivan and the Beatles. That was his story. And when I started to dig deeper and kind of had this yearning to learn more about who he was and, how his career started, and just because, part of his story obviously is part of who I am. And I, found out as I started to dig deeper that there was so much more to his story that's basically been, untapped and people didn't know about it. And I felt a pull to make sure that people understood the full picture and not just the headline moments, but the quiet ones too.
I guess I asked that question. Did you know growing up, were you aware of how significant of a figure your grandfather was within the black community and how much reverence they had for him?
No, that's a great question. I had no clue at all. When I was younger, I kind of would shy away from being identified as Ed Sullivan's granddaughter because a lot of people would sometimes, they would want to, make fun of his onstage persona, do imitations of, how he spoke to me. And it was attention that I didn't want, really. So I just kind of pushed it aside. And it wasn't really until my mom passed away in 2004 that's where I felt this yearning to kind of learn more about my family history. And as I was, surfing the internet, I came across an article by a sociologist that was basically giving my grandfather the credit, actually, which is a bit of an overstatement, I think. He called him a civil rights trailblazer. And my grandfather was never a crusader in that sense. He did quiet things, he moved the needle in his own way. But yeah, it was eye-opening for me. It's something I became tremendously proud of because, social justice and civil rights has always been very important to me. And I started to explore it more. And when you asked about Annapolis, I was involved with the Annapolis Film Festival. And I learned, documentaries were a wonderful way to tell stories. And I met some very influential Black women there. And when I was introduced to them by somebody else as Ed Sullivan's granddaughter, they acted like I was the celebrity because my grandfather's show was so important in their homes when they were growing up. And, they were telling me all these wonderful stories. And it was just, it felt like it was, it was just the story just kind of came to be, between the research I was doing and the people I was talking to. I decided I really wanted to tell it.
Margo Precht Speciale is with us here on GCR. Again, Sunday Best is available now on Netflix. Margo, two particular stories from the doc that I wanted to talk about with you. One, ostensibly, we are a sports show, although, selfishly, this is the type of stuff that I like to do. And it's ironic because a lot of this with your grandfather's story kind of starts with sport.
Yes, 100%. My grandfather was a sports writer for many years before he even became a, television TV host. He loved sports. It was in his blood.
The idea that seeing injustice within sports kind of started to push him towards wanting to show more equality on television was something that I was utterly and completely unaware of, but I found to be, quite powerful, that even at a young age, it rubbed him the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. I think you're probably referring to the New York University story. That was something that I found in my research, that he had, basically written an article because he had learned that NYU was going to bench their colored, they say back then, that's, I'm
Right.
really thinking of headlines, obviously, their black player because because they were black and they didn't want the Georgia player to play against NYU. And my grandfather learned about that and was, completely disgusted by NYU's position and basically blasted him to the public. And in 1929, that was their internet, right? So that went out to a lot of people. And so he did have a long history in supporting black athletes. He said that he played all sports, and he played, with integrated teams, and he just always had a huge admiration for black athletes.
Well, and powerful that when you said it was 1929.
1929,
right? That's
yeah.
not an easy time in our history to be able to stand up and like that. It does take courage at that point to stand up and say something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and to say something to that level, to college football, he actually demanded that NYU disband their football team, I believe, and they had something to do with the Hall of Fame, right? And you probably know that better than I do. So yeah, he called for the disbandment of, their authority on all of that.
It's incredible. It's an incredible story. Of all of the artists, and look, I not really thinking a lot about this side of it. I'm very familiar with the history of the musicians, and everybody knows, do you bring up the Beatles? But the Harry Belafonte story, to me, Margo, is incredibly powerful to watch. And Harry Belafonte, who became respected as one of the most important people of the century, beyond being a musician, beyond being an artist, really the fact that he sat down with him and said, "I want to know. I want to know the entirety of your story." How powerful was that part of it for you to hear from Harry Belafonte?
Oh, that was huge. That was our first interview that we did for the documentary. I think it dates back to like 2016, 17, before he died, obviously. And his interview was tremendous. He, really had a wonderful relationship with my grandfather. They spoke a lot. They took each other's, guidance and advice on different acts that should be on the show. And yeah, that whole conversation, I think that's what it's all about, is listening to one another and hearing, what everybody has to say, and just having these open conversations so you are able to learn about where people are coming from.
Boy, feels like a lesson that maybe can be a bit broader in this moment in our history.
Oh yeah, I mean, the timing of all of this is just really eye-opening because with everything going on with Colbert and just our country in general, these lessons hopefully will open some people's eyes who watch the documentary and, learn, that sometimes you just need to do the right thing. You need to be fair and, you need to be honest. And, my grandfather opened doors for people that were left out. And, that's kind of the true, the bottom line of his legacy, that just to keep your doors open and your mind open.
And just listening, Margo, to the point, like just being willing to listen. And when you think you know everything, that, again, just listen to someone else's story and understand what they have to say.
Yeah.
Any of the other conversations that you had, I think about some of the things that Oprah said in the documentary that were so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
But anything else that a story that you weren't aware of that as you were making the film resonated most with you?
That resonated the most with me. There were so many stories that we could have told that we just didn't have time to, unfortunately. There was another wonderful story about my grandfather in during the 1936 Olympics and how he championed Jesse Owens. He wrote a beautiful, beautiful piece about Jesse Owens and the Olympics that unfortunately we didn't include. But I just feel like for my grandfather, everything that he did was so intentional. And it's something I didn't know about him at all. And it makes sense when you think about, my family and my life and, where we've come, and the shoulders that we stood on. But, I think in general, there were, just more stories we could have put in there. So there wasn't anything, I guess also that my grandfather was such a great writer. That was another thing that really stood out to me. He really was a good observer. He observed things and he wrote about them, which all of the, narration comes directly from his writings. So in the documentary. So, that was something that was eye-opening.
That's really cool. And obviously sort of bring his voice to life and with movie technique, right?
Right, exactly.
But no, that was a really cool part of the documentary. And I would tell you, Margo, the part that I didn't know, again, knowing a bit of the history, I was not aware that your grandfather handpicked every artist that appeared on the show. We think of television, we think of there being producers and talent bookers and things.
He was the producer, right? That's the other thing I wanted, people to understand about his role. He created the show. He was the producer of the show. Yes, he introduced the acts, but his primary role was producer.
It's incredible. I mean, it really is truly a testament to how and the relationships that he created, and hearing Barry Gordy talk about his relationship with the Supremes. It's just so cool.
Well, a lot of his early relationships came from when he was a reporter. And so in the documentary, we cover that he was a sports reporter, and then they wanted to, move him to be the gossip, entertainment reporter, which he was not happy about at all because of his love of sports, but he had to do it or he was going to get fired. But through that, he made incredible connections in New York City, and the original name of the show was Toast of the Town. And the reason it was called Toast of the Town is because the whole idea behind it is whoever was the best or the most talented, they were going to be shown that night on his show. They were the Toast of the Town, and later got changed to his name, the Ed Sullivan Show, which many people remember more, but that's what it was based on, the best talent. And that's all my grandfather cared about was talent. And he did not care, about any color, because talent doesn't have color. Talent is talent.
It's incredible. It really is a wonderful watch, Margo, and I encourage everybody to check out Sunday Best, which is available now on Netflix. Margo, is there anything else that we can plug for you that you have? Are you on to another project at this point, or do you maybe sit and let this one breathe for a minute before?
We're letting this breathe for a minute, but yeah, there's some other things in the works, but yeah, I'll let you know.
Margo, I'm really grateful that you shared this story with so many people.
I appreciate the opportunity to share it, in my hometown, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
We're incredibly proud to call you one of our own, a true Marylander. Margo Precht Speciale, thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning. We really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Beck, I really enjoyed that. I can't encourage you enough to watch Sunday Best. I think a lot of us, I don't even know, someone Griffin's age really understands.
I didn't. I did end up having a chance last night. Yeah, I was able to watch it.
It's really good, man.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Really,
I mean, I knew
really good.
Nothing.
Do you not even know the significance of the Beatles, the Ed Sullivan?
No.
So the most significant, what we associate in pop culture, the Ed Sullivan Show with, for the most part, for those of us that weren't old enough to have watched it, for some people, the Ed Sullivan Show was weekly viewing. They watched every episode.
This was before Sunday Night Football, so it was like...
That's a good point. But for most people, the association with the Ed Sullivan Show is very specific and unique to... It was what introduced America to the Beatles. There have been documentaries, multiple documentaries made just about...
Their appearance,
the Beatles' trip to America... Okay. Which was centered around them doing the Ed Sullivan Show. And I don't know where it is now, but the Ed Sullivan, the Beatles' appearance, the Ed Sullivan Show for years was the highest rated TV. Highest rated. I want to make sure I define this correctly. Beatles, Ed Sullivan Show, highest rated. Because there's context to it. It drew more than 73 million viewers, a record for U.S. television at the time. 73 million viewers had never tuned in at the same time to watch anything on television until the Beatles were on the Ed Sullivan Show. And that the piece of Ed Sullivan just introducing the Beatles is, you will see it constantly. It's such a piece of Americana. I had discovered, I had never thought about it. A lot of my favorite performances. There's a famous performance. It's funny. I just watched the Sly Lives documentary that Questlove did about Sly Stone, and there's a famous Ed Sullivan Show performance where there's this lily white audience that is not. They just look like squares, man. They just look like. And Sly Stone, who's the coolest human that's ever lived, is doing everything in his power and gets them vibing with what he's doing, and it's this really cool moment. There's a famous performance of Ike and Tina Turner on that, but I just never thought about the significance of hey, wow, I guess maybe, because you don't do the math of exactly what those years were and exactly how it lines up with the Civil Rights movement and how significant it was. So, as someone who had kind of always associated Ed Sullivan with the Beatles and not a lot else, it was really powerful for me.
I mean, yeah, it was she was playing it down, but that he was a civil rights
Hearing
activist.
The way that Berry Gordy talked about, Berry Gordy, for those who don't know, the founder of Motown, one of the most significant figures in music history. Oprah openly, this was appointment viewing in our house, and this made me believe that I could do this. It was really amazing. And obviously, look, this Margo is Ed Sullivan's granddaughter, and so, of course, but the stories that are told, I didn't know anything about him being a sports writer and openly protesting that NYU sat, I think, against Georgia, their black players because Georgia was offended by the idea of playing against or refused to play against a black player. The guy is very much, Ed Sullivan certainly has a bigger place in the civil rights, as an ally, in the civil rights conversation than I think the average American is aware of. I really learned a lot from the doc. I thought it was tremendous. I really encourage you to watch it. It's called Sunday Best. A couple of things. Not really sports. We'll obviously deal with it on Jobbing Out. Hulk Hogan has passed away.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there.
Okay, I do remember this story now. Yeah, that he was sick, and then didn't he? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was conflicting. Like, one of his friends had said a couple months ago that he was on his deathbed, and his family was like, I don't know where that's coming from. That's not true. He had a routine procedure, and then we didn't hear or see from or see him for a while. Obviously, we learned it wasn't good, and Hulk Hogan has passed away. Hulk Hogan or Terry Bollea, and we've certainly had our fun with jokes over the years, an incredibly complicated and flawed human. Incredibly complicated and deeply flawed. And flaws that probably go further than a lot of people's flaws, but, a lot of people are very flawed. We're all flawed human beings. Let's make that abundantly clear. As a performer, kind of second to none. And again, this predates you, but like the Hulkamania was an American revelation, man. Like it swept up the country, and it went far beyond professional wrestling. Obviously, he was in movies, and he wasn't The Rock. Like, he didn't ever have that level, but it wasn't far off, man. And him slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 continues to stand as, like, not only maybe the most significant moment in pro wrestling history, but in one of the more significant pop culture moments. Hulkamania was wild, and I was a kid, and I was utterly caught up in it. And the crazy part is I didn't even really like professional. I thought my friends that liked professional wrestling were kind of losers. But Hulk Hogan changed that, man. Like, everyone wanted to watch Hulk Hogan. And even within pro wrestling, as a person, he became a very complicated figure because he still wanted to be Hulk Hogan, like, years and years. Look, the most significant moment in pro wrestling was Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. One of the most was him turning heel and forming the NWO. Like, it was an unbelievable moment. But he, in his later years, still wanted to be Hulk Hogan, and got into his 50s and still wanted to be like the champion, and he would get into his 60s and still would ask, like, I got another run in me, and he would try to force his ego upon the business. And then, obviously, after, the video where we heard him use the N-word and his fall from grace, then there was the complication of, like, but he was apparently recorded without his knowledge, and that isn't okay, whatever you feel about it, and a sex tape was leaked that he had nothing to do with, and so he sued Gawker, and he got a lot of money out of it. And however you feel about Terry Bollea, the human being, and I think he's a, more or less not a great human being. He deserved that because he was a victim in that situation. Very complicated life, man. Very, very complicated life. But as a performer, man, unbelievable. So yeah, kind of shocking news through pro wrestling and pop culture as Hulk Hogan has passed away. We didn't really talk about Ozzy Osbourne.
No, it didn't.
And I regret that because the two things that I thought about. And by the way, Ozzy Osbourne, also an incredibly flawed individual. Beloved figure, unlike Hulk Hogan at this point. Despite, there's a lot of things that we've kind of conveniently chosen to not obsess over when it comes to Ozzy Osbourne and stories of domestic violence. And he did also once legitimately bite a bat. That did happen. But somehow that added to his legend. We didn't make that. Ozzy Osbourne, a rock god, as far as metal music is concerned, the godfather of metal. The cool part for me about Ozzy was he always toured. So, like, this is the shame. I'll make the comparison. Sly Stone passes away, and I never got to see Sly and the Family Stone or Sly Stone. I never got to. And that made me sad because I was an obsessed fan. I saw Ozzy probably 3 times by accident. Like, I chose to go to Ozfest a couple years, and other times people would just be like, hey, I got an extra ticket. Do you want to go? Because he always toured. He toured constantly for decades. And so if you wanted to see Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath, you had the opportunity to. And I appreciated that about him as an artist, is that, like, there can be no regret. If you didn't see Ozzy Osbourne, it's just because you didn't want to. That's okay. Like, not everything is for everybody. But you had millions of chances to see him perform because he so constantly toured. And I appreciated that about Ozzy Osbourne, was that no one had to have any regrets about. And when you went, God, you love singing along, man. Like, I wasn't even an obsessed Ozzy or Sabbath fan, right? Like, I was as much of an Ozzy or Sabbath fan as anybody else was. There are people that, like, worship at the altar of Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath. I was, as much as, like, if I heard Crazy Train come on the radio, I'd bang my head along and sing along. And that was the great part about going to see Ozzy live, is that you just got to sing along and have an amazing time. I always hated that it was down at the Jiffy Lube Live or whatever. I don't even know what they call it. I think it's still
Jiffy, is it? No?
It was Nissan Pavilion for a while. It was. I hated that I had to drive down there because they never played Merriweather. They always played that shed. But I still went multiple times, and am grateful that I did because it was awesome. Became a really interesting pop culture figure himself. In a way, he gave us reality television. That we didn't do reality television, and then MTV did the Osbournes, and it wasn't what we now know of reality television. It was, in that way, it was very boring. It was just like, here are some cameras to watch what the Osbournes are doing. Learn how to use his remote. And in that way, it was interesting, because here's the Prince of Darkness, and you're watching him cuddle with his son on a couch and watch old war movies. And so in that way, it was like kind of compelling television, because we had never seen it before. Now, if we had known then that it would begat the downfall of American entertainment, then we probably wouldn't have felt
downfall.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of work.
Sure. I know you've been enjoying Hunting Wives. No, Hunting Wives isn't a reality show.
No, yeah, it was a real show.
It's a
scripted show.
Yeah. But like it became another chapter in this kind of extraordinarily pop culture life of this larger than life figure in Ozzy Osbourne. So yeah, two kind of titanic people that we have lost this week now in Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan. 2 very complicated people, very flawed people, but people whose heights and what they leave us with is remarkable. And yeah, and on the flip side, the fact that Ozzy got to have that like send off a few weeks ago,
right?
That no one knew was like a life send off, but in hindsight, friggin' beautiful, man. Like friggin' unbelievable that he got to have that one more moment, even as limited as he was as a performer, but to just be there, to have everyone celebrate him and happy to see him, and to perform as much as he could. Incredible stuff. All right, we'll come back in. We'll do a fighting words, and then we get a tidbit and tubular. That's on the way. Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Summer just got a whole lot merrier at Live Casino. Win your share of $30,000 during Christmas in July. Earn entries starting July 1st. Dash in on Saturday, July 26th to be one of 50 winners to unwrap top-of-the-line electronics, home appliances, free play, and other great gifts. Go all in on good cheer at Live Casino. At Owings Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, we celebrate the first ever Baltimore basketball player to reach the Naismith Hall of Fame as we talk to those who knew Carmelo Anthony best about how his Baltimore upbringing shaped his legendary career. Also inside, Bo Smoke profiles Ravens second-round pick Mike Green, and find our annual summer travel section with information on some of the best sporting events and activities in Maryland that your family can check out all summer long. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR's Continue Along on a Thursday edition of the program. And if it's a Thursday, we haven't done it in a while, just for various reasons.
A lot we got to get into, huh?
Here we go.
It's Fighting Words with Griffin Bass.
Fighting Words is brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Everything you need to know about high school sports here in the state of Maryland. CountySports.zone, again, is the website.
All right, yeah, I guess what we've missed, I think we touched on it briefly, but it was the first week that I was gone. Ilia Topuria did knock out Charles Oliveira in his move to 155 with the lightweight, and that was at the last pay-per-view at the end of June. And I mean, I'm certainly going to be a victim of, I always am a victim of recency bias, but I mean, he looks unbelievable. Ilia Topuria, he's still undefeated. Like, he's just on an incredible run. He's knocking out guys across several different divisions, and in the first round, like in the first two rounds as well. Like Charles Oliveira was so much bigger than Ilia Topuria was as he moved up to 155, and he knocked him out in two and a half minutes. So I mean, he's like on. It's like he's doing things that like Conor McGregor was doing on his run up, except he seems like a sane person, and which is cool.
What?
Which is cool.
What a thought.
Yeah. So Ilia Topuria is incredible. I mean, I'm not
we
sure.
need to check our audio on YouTube, apparently.
That should be.
I don't know what's going on. What is going on around here? What's happening?
All right, I'll look into it, John. Thank you. So yeah, Ilia Topuria knocked out Charles Oliveira. Alexander Pantoja defended his belt as well. They both looked very impressive. But Ilia was, I mean, he's the pound for pound number one now in MMA. And certainly deserving of that distinction. Derek Lewis, by the way, he still got it while you were away. Knocked out.
I'll always love Derek
Lewis.
Lewis.
We all will. 30 seconds. That's all it took as he knocked out some random guy that I guess they thought maybe could have been a heavyweight, but not. Taliesin Teixeira was his name. He lasted 30 seconds with Derek Lewis. Last week was a wonderful tribute to Dustin Poirier, as it was his retirement fight in a BMF championship fight against Max Holloway, which Max Holloway won. But that was just an incredibly. I mean, it was great how they sent Dustin out. I mean, he's been an incredible UFC fighter, incredible MMA fighter, an incredible ambassador of the sport. Like, we just mentioned Conor McGregor. Dustin Poirier is a guy that you can't say a single bad thing about. And always entertained you when he stepped into the octagon. But he lost to Max Holloway. So Holloway defended his BMF championship. But that was just a ridiculous excuse for a pay-per-view. That I can't believe they actually made people pay for that. It was just a very lackluster card outside of Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. But even that was kind of lackluster. If that's your main event and it's not a title fight, it was kind of ridiculous, but it was still a good fight, and it was good that they were in New Orleans, so Dustin Poirier's hometown, his home state of Louisiana. So it was still a good I don't know, it was a good tribute. That's the way I'll leave it.
Cool.
It was overall though it was a disappointing pay-per-view though. On the boxing side, Amanda Serrano lost to Katie Taylor for the third time when they were fighting up in New York a couple weeks back on the Netflix card. That was the all-women's card, though, so that I think it accomplished a lot. It was great for women's for women's boxing. Alexander Usyk, he defended his belt. He remains undefeated, 24-0. He knocked out Daniel Dubois over the weekend in Wembley, which was just insane. I mean, they were chanting Usyk in Wembley while Daniel Dubois, a London native, got knocked out by him in the 5th round. Alexander Usyk, probably she should be now. Was he before? I guess everyone has their own rankings.
I've seen people try. By the way, this has gotten crazy. I have seen people trying to suggest that Usyk is like the greatest fighter of all time. Like it's we can't keep it in our pants.
Well, it's the thing in front of you. It's the shiny thing in front of you.
He's very impressive.
He looked very good.
He's very impressive.
Really, really
There's
good.
no doubt about that.
I mean, but yeah, pound for pound.
Should I be speaking more quietly because we're being too amplified on the? I just
recording.
I've gotten multiple people that have messaged me about the audio.
We're too loud.
I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it.
To me, everything looks.
I understand that, but I don't know how to define it. We'll just have to figure that out.
All right. I thought it would be we should be speaking louder. I guess not. I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess I can try turning. I can try to turn us down completely. Let me know if it's too quiet, Sean. I guess. But I mean, yeah, I think it's fair to have him over No Way, Terrence Crawford, Dimitri Bivol right now. Alexander Usyk looks unbeatable. Looks like Joe Parker sounds like the name everyone wants to see next. Joe Parker versus Usyk, because even though he's 38 years old, it doesn't seem like he's in danger of slowing down quite yet. Speaking of old guys, Manny Pacquiao, 46, made his return to the boxing ring and fought to a majority draw over the weekend against Mario Barrios. So I guess Manny Pacquiao, maybe he'll fight again. I don't know. But Manny Pacquiao, he was boxing over the weekend, so that was something that occurred. And then this week we do have another UFC card. It's a pretty solid card. I got to give them credit this time around. I always complain about how they don't capitalize on their own momentum. I think right now they're on a decent run. I mentioned the UFC 317, the Ilya fight, knocking out Charles. So they didn't have a fight then because it was July 4th weekend. But then they had Derek Lewis in Nashville. Dustin Poirier in New Orleans. Now they're in Abu Dhabi this weekend, so and on a very entertaining card through and through. Not like Robert Whittaker versus Renier de Ridder is the main event, and I think it should be a pretty great fight. Pretty close odds. Everyone is familiar, I think, with Robert Whittaker or somewhat familiar with Rob Whittaker.
No, but
well, he's fought Israel Adesanya twice.
I get
so
it. He's. But you're wrong to say everyone's familiar with him.
Everyone's familiar with Robert Whittaker.
The problem is, not everyone's familiar with the top guy.
Yeah. Dricus du Plessis would be the champion right now. He's fighting in a couple weeks against Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat, so that was Robert Whittaker's last fight. He lost to Khamzat last October, and a pretty gruesome submission where it was like a neck crank, and he actually broke Whittaker's jaw. So that's why it's been a bit of an extended layoff here for Robert Whittaker. He actually chipped 3 of his teeth. It was a gnarly submission. But he's Robert Whittaker, so he's gonna. I don't know. We'll see if he bounces back. He's a slight favorite. He's like minus 160 right now. He's fighting Renier de Ridder, so he's the guy that beat Bo Nickel a couple months ago. Whenever that was, April, May in Des Moines. So this is it's a very interesting run for Renier de Ridder, because this is only his 4th UFC fight. He was in the one championship. He was a champion in one MMA. And he's come over, and he's had a really incredible run. He's had submitted Gerald Mearshart and submitted Kevin Holland. If he's able to find a way to beat Whitaker, so very compelling matchup there. And then just I think good flights up and down on the Abu Dhabi card. That's an ABC card for the UFC. They announced a couple more pay-per-views this week as well. The September card will be Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2. So Alex Pereira will have a chance to try and get his belt back from Magomed Ankalaev. Ankalaev beat him earlier this year in a unanimous decision. Merab Dvalishvili, he's coming back at 135 to defend his belt against Corey Sandhagen. So Merab, he lives up to his nickname, the Machine. He just fought in June, defended his belt, and now he's fighting again against. He's going to be fighting again in September against Corey Sandhagen, and I don't know why there's any reason to expect him to slow down. Merab looks pretty impressive at 135. And then we'll have Yuri Prohaska and Khalil Roundtree. That one's a good one. And then they finally announced Tom Aspinall will have a fight. That'll be the October card, also in Abu Dhabi. Cyril Gane will get the first shot at Tom Aspinall at the heavyweight.
It feels like he hasn't fought in a while.
Gane or Aspinall? Both.
Well, yeah, Aspinall definitely. Yeah, right.
What was Gane's last fight? I actually don't know.
Was it Jones?
No, he's fought since then.
Okay.
Because I feel like he had to be on one of those French cards. Let's see. What was his last fight? Yeah, he's fought. Oh, he beat Alexander Volkov. He beat Sergey Spivak and Volkov since then. So yeah, he's fought twice and won both times. His only losses are Francis and John Jones.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, we're probably certainly a worthy opponent for Tom Aspinall, and that should be a good.
So everybody seems to think that John Jones is going to try to come out of retirement to position himself to be on the White House card.
Yes, correct. So yeah, Brian Powell did want me to talk about it. So some fan ran into John, I think last weekend at an airport or something.
Okay.
There was a 20-second video that went out, and he was like, John, thanks so much. He's like, are you going to be trying to? He was like, well, are you going to be on that White House card? And John said, I have a strong feeling, yes, something like that. Yeah. And then later that night, this was because the pay-per-view in New Orleans, so Dana always does a post-fight presser as well, and someone asked him, he said, I can't risk putting him in big positions. So Dana pretty much shot it down. Which my sense would be then I don't think, for anyone that missed it, Donald Trump announced that they're going to have a UFC fight on the White House grounds next July 4th. Which is, I don't know. That's, I guess, I mean, it certainly seems like the two people in charge of both organizations could get that done, Donald Trump and Dana White. So I guess so. It doesn't surprise me in the least, though, that Dana would say John Jones isn't going to be on that card just because he's so stubborn, and he and all the John was his best friend for a while, and now he's John burned him one time too many, so now Dana's just never going to give him an opportunity again, much like how the falling out with Francis Ngannou, at his prime, he lets Francis Ngannou walk out the door. So I mean, it's just I think it would probably be good for the sport to have John Jones on a card of that magnitude if that does come to fruition. But knowing Dana, I say knowing Dana, but based on Dana's past, I don't expect John Jones to be on the White House card. I mean,
I don't know.
I think Dana's very, very stubborn when it comes to things like this.
While I understand
if he's
that,
mad at somebody, he stays mad at that person.
I know. And then
if John wants to fight on that card, I think he's got to fight before then. And I don't know why he would want to. Unless the UFC is going to give him an unbelievable payday to fight, in January or something against Tom Aspinall. I don't know why. I don't know why it would happen. I don't know why why they would let John fight on an international fight week card like that. You try to surround. You're building a card around John Jones.
Because you decide you like money.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I think they're content with their business model as is. They just had a pay-per-view with Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway as the only compelling fight on the entire card.
I understand what you're saying. I do understand that. And then sometimes you decide you want money. Or let's just say the American president decides that that's what he wants, and you're just going to do anything that the American president wants to do.
True.
So, I think there's lots of ways that could happen. Now, I don't know. Am I telling you that it will? I have no idea. Couldn't possibly tell you.
My money's on no, it doesn't happen.
I mean,
both actually. I'm going to be surprised if the fight happens on the White House grounds.
Oh, you think at all?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe it's more so. Maybe that's more wishful thinking. I don't know.
You don't want it to happen.
I mean, I think it's a mockery of everything. I don't know.
I don't know about that. I mean, like, there have been concerts at the White House. There have been...
What concerts have been at the White House?
Oh, my God. There used to be, like, an entire series called Live at the White House. Famously, President Obama, like, hosted parties at the White House that, like, Jay-Z performed at. And there's an entire concert series that was called... I think it aired on PBS, or In Concert at the White House, I think it was called. They've done lots of stuff at the White House before. Like, should it be? That's a different, I don't know. But in that way, like, this type of stuff has happened.
Concert, 2009 on July 4th.
There've been lots of concerts at the White House over the years, or live performances at least. Whether they were full concerts or not, I don't know. Yeah,
all right. I guess maybe I won't be quite as surprised.
Like that part of it, whether it happens or not.
Because you're right.
Like,
yeah, Trump. Any fight on the East Coast, Trump is always there. So.
Well, and you have two people with huge egos involved. So, like, is it possible that, like, at some point, like, Trump says, and I get to keep all the money, and Dana White's like, whoa, that's not.
There's a few boxing cards this weekend as well. So you have UFC in Abu Dhabi starting at noon. The main card starting at 3. We have an ESPN card, Xander Zayas versus Jorge Garcia. I don't know. It's for the junior middleweight. This guy, there's a 22-year-old kid, Zayas, and he is 21-0. So this will be his 22nd professional fight, and he's 22 years old. So that looks like it could be a fun fight there for the junior middleweight title. DAZN will have Claressa Shields versus Lonnie Daniels. As Shields she's 16-0. She'll be defending her belt, and she is a massive favorite. So Claressa Shields looks like she'll continue her dominance.
Very good. Yes. That's fighting words, and I apologize. I'm also realizing I'm hearing some fuzz in the background. Are you hearing any of that? I don't know what's going on.
I'm not.
We got a whole lot of stuff going on all of a sudden that wasn't going on before. I don't know what's happening around here. I don't know. I don't know if we need to do it while the show's still going on in order to fix it. I always get no. It's definitely not that. If anything, it would be the cord in the back. Well, then it could just be the...
Well, because when I hear it is sometimes when Drew comes in and he just starts fidgeting with stuff.
Oh, Drew loves to fidget.
So he'll touch, like, my little plug, and then I get a buzz. And I'm like,
I don't know. It's definitely there. It's definitely there.
Okay.
And combined with not knowing what this sounds like on YouTube, and why we lost our Facebook broadcast halfway through the day, our pets' heads are falling off, is what I'm trying to say. Things are...
John said we sound like Mickey Mouse? What?
What?
That's what John said. I don't. All right. I guess I'll be here a while today.
Gonna get it fixed. Somehow, some way. All right. In the meantime, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by... What's it brought to you today by? You tell me. It's brought to you by the Prentice Show Press Box, which is available for free still at your neighborhood Royal Farms, out of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. Carmelo Anthony on the cover. Go pick it up right now.
Jose Ramirez, he's pretty good. We've seen that up close this week. I think it was Tuesday that he hit a home run. He also stole a base. That was his 25th career game with at least one stolen base and at least one home run. Third most among third basemen all time. Can you round out the top 5 for me of guys, of third basemen, most games played with at least one home run and one stolen base among third basemen?
It's so random.
No, it's not. It's a good stat.
Manny Machado.
No Manuel Machado. He is 8th all time. He's at 15 right now. So the top 5, all of it done this at least 20 times. Manny's at 15.
Alex Rodriguez.
Alex Rodriguez is number 2. 1 game, 26. He's 1 game ahead of J-Rom right now.
The problem is, like, trying to come up with other guys that stole bases. Like, I can't figure out. I don't know. I put your base stealers at third base. David Wright?
David Wright is on the list. He is at number 5. 20 games with a home run and a stolen base in his career.
David Wright was a hell of a player, man.
Yeah. I think they just honored him this week.
Yeah, they just did a thing, for sure.
Did they retire his jersey or Mets Hall of Fame? I don't know what they have, but yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're making it worse.
Imagine if I sounded like Mickey Mouse and then there was a Mickey Mouse
Yeah.
filter on top of it. I wonder what
Maybe
that
we're
sounds
getting hacked
like.
or something. Yeah.
Who do you think's after us?
Bobby Trossett.
Could be. Could be. I don't even have any, he's just wrong. It's okay. I'm not mad at Bobby. He's just wrong about this. People are wrong about things all the time. But as I said a million times, Glenn Clark, I'm going to be wrong. About lots. People are wrong. It happens. Bobby's wrong. That's okay. George Brett.
No, not George Brett. Stop ringing.
Might have been Mickey Mouse. Heard you were stealing my gimmick.
Yeah, two others. Both Hall of Famers.
Beltray?
No.
Both Hall of Famers.
Brett had 11. Beltray had 10.
How about...
You're missing number 1. He had 31 such games. And number
31
4.
such games by a third baseman.
Yes.
Oh, my God. How about... Christ, this is crazy, man. Hall of Famer. Mike Schmidt. I don't think...
Mike Schmidt.
Really?
Most games with at least 1 home run and 1 stolen base.
I don't think of Mike Schmidt as a base stealer.
Yes, he just stumbles into one and he hit so many home runs.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like he hit so many.
He didn't,
but, yeah.
right. Well, I mean, he hit a lot. Paul Molitor?
Not Paul Molitor.
Brooks Robinson.
Not Brooks.
I didn't think so, but...
Molitor's at 14. Brooks is outside the top 25.
Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones is
really?
number 4 on that
Certainly
list.
not someone you think of as
Mike
a base
Schmidt,
stealer.
A-Rod, Jose Ramirez, Chipper Jones, and David Wright.
Jose Ramirez is incredible, man. There's no getting around that. All right, let's get tubular.
Okay, everybody, it's going to be quick today.
What was the main focus today, Coach?
Fundamentals, ball control. It's always huge.
Any early thoughts on the competition this year?
Well, look, this is the best of the best players in the world. It's going to be an amazing tournament.
Tournament?
Yeah, the BMW Championship at Caves Valley. What are you guys talking about? All they ever ask me about is football.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Matinee this afternoon for the Orioles as they try to avoid a 4-game sweep in Cleveland. Charlie Morton and Logan Allen, the pitching matchup. And Griffin said yesterday that means the Orioles have no chance. 110 on Masson.
Although Charlie Morton is pitching, so maybe
I mean,
he's the ace.
Well, he wasn't the last time out.
Yeah, but that was different.
Right. And it's also, as Griffin pointed out, the only game on, so it's on MLB Network in the rest of the country because you got to see more Baltimore Orioles right now. MLB Network tonight, Blue Jays Tigers 6:40, Mariners Angels 9:38. MLB TV, the free game is Padres Cardinals at 7:45. Copa America continues tonight. Ecuador, Argentina at 8 on FS1. Chile and Uruguay at 8 on FS2. Amazon Prime Video, Aces Fever at 7 o'clock. Golf Channel for round 1 of the 3M Open at 4 o'clock. Tennis Channel continuous, and Venus plays tonight against Magdalene Fretch in the second round of the DC Open, but coverage all day on the Tennis Channel. Access TV for TNA Impact at 8. Non-sports.
There's not a whole lot for some reason on this Thursday. Yeah, just Shark Week stuff. Impractical Jokers, new episode of that. That's the new season of Impractical Jokers started a couple weeks ago. Fallon's gonna have J Balvin and Lupita Nyong'o.
They are, of course, plugging my trip to Las Vegas.
Really?
I'm very excited
J
about
Balvin
it.
and Lupita.
I think I heard they wanted to know if I wanted to go see Beyonce with them. And just don't know that I'm going to be able to pull that off. I was looking at, I didn't know that I was going the weekend that Beyonce was in Vegas. Kind of explains some of the flight prices.
Gotcha. What she's there like for what, 2 days or? Like,
yeah, she's doing a couple of shows at the Raiders
so
Stadium.
You're flying at like the worst.
Yeah, not picking the right time to go to Vegas. Although I would love to go to Beyonce. I was looking in. I was like, maybe we can go get some tickets. And they are pricey. So we'll see. But yeah, they're excited about it.
And then Cynthia Erivo and Bertie Gregory will be on Kimmel.
Plugging Sunday Best on Netflix, which is cool. We like that. Cool. Who is Bertie Gregory?
She is. She did a Secret Penguin documentary, Secrets of Penguins documentary. She's a filmmaker.
If you say so.
Documentary maker.
All right.
I think Cynthia Erivo. She's probably plugging Poker Face for her guest star appearance.
Yeah, probably. When does Wicked 2 come out?
November.
Okay, that's probably not that.
December.
Or
One of
maybe
the two.
I don't know. Maybe
One of
they're
the two.
starting the hype
Wicked
train
1
now.
came out
I
in
don't know.
November. They are. When I was in LA, they were doing because they were doing the planes were flying around.
Okay.
And they were just like leaving like the cloud trail. Whatever. What is that?
Chemtrails?
Called? Yeah, I guess so. And it was spelling out "Surrender, Dorothy." This was like July. It was like July.
Lord.
This was on July 4th.
Okay.
That this happened. They're like already selling.
All right.
Selling marketing for Wicked 2. So yeah, two Wicked, 2 Furious, I believe is what it's called.
I'm excited about that. That should be good. Yeah. That's it.
That's
all
it.
right. Very good. Hopefully we'll get all the audio figured out before tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will not be here tomorrow. I'm headed out to Vegas. So let me just give everybody a quick rundown. Stan will be in tomorrow with Griffin. And then after that, starting on Monday, I'm going to do 4 shows from live out at the Circa in Las Vegas. At least a couple of them are going to be by the pool at Stadium Swim. I'm excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe I'll go tarps off. We'll see.
Wow.
I haven't decided yet. I haven't committed to it, but maybe.
Do I have to take matters? Do I have to make an executive decision then? Just kind of turn your video off and not show you?
Well, or you should try to get it out to as many people as possible in hopes of getting those ratings up. But yeah, I'm going to be doing shows.
That's what the people want.
The shows will not be starting.
Now, John said audio sounds fine.
Are we sure this isn't? Well, no, somebody else messaged me about it, so it's
somebody
not
else did.
just
Okay.
John. I got a couple other messages from people about the audio today, which is good. I appreciate that you're listening.
Yeah,
I
thank
do.
you.
I do like that.
Thank you. Please let us know how
But
bad or good we sound.
Not great that randomly we started sounding different for a little while. I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I was saying the shows will
You're
not
going
be
to Vegas.
the shows will not be starting at 10 a.m. We believe they're going to start at 11 a.m. There is a small range. It might have to be 11:30. We'll figure that out. So Stadium Swim opens at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. local time. But in order for the show to start at 8 a.m. local time, I kind of need to be able to get in ahead of time. And yeah, you know me. Give me 2 minutes, I'll be ready to go. I kind of need to be able to get in ahead of time to at least be ready to go. So the way it said was like, well, you could start at like 11:05, and I was like, well, we could, but I kind of like the idea of starting at a round number, like that seems good. We're working on that, is all I'll say. We're working on the time the show will start, but it will not be a normal timed show next week. It'll be starting slightly later than that for Monday through Thursday while I'm out in Vegas.
Got it.
So
Now I got to adjust my week.
yeah, I mean, Griffin had huge plans for next week. It was going to finally be the week that he actually did something beneficial for society, and now that's not happening.
That's canceled because of Glenn.
Yeah, I was going to go sit with some old people and read them stories, but you know what? No, I refuse. I flatly refuse now. But that's the plan for next week, and we're doing a little bit of Vegas-centric stuff. There'll be probably some folks popping in related to the Circa and the Sportsbook and VSiN, but we'll just also largely be doing normal shows next week. I will just be in Vegas, where it'll be 1,000. If you think it's hot here,
It's hot here. It's humid.
my God. You'll
be fine.
I'm going to Las Vegas in July. That is a choice. All right. Thanks today to Margo Precht Speciale. Thanks to Caden Bodine, and thanks to Marc Ross. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the.
Let's go, Max. You're the best wrestler alive.
There
Let's
we
go,
go.
Max. You're the best wrestler alive.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, Stan.
Yes, Tim Kirchin will be
Tim
joining
Kirchin's
us.
joining
Yes,
us.
Peter Schmuck's going to join us as
Oh,
well.
these guys didn't want to come on with the.
No, they specifically said. When I said, such and so happens, Glenn's not going to be here, they're like, oh, perfect.
Huh.
Perfect.
Well, that's
perfect.
weird.
I think we're going to try to go to Bowie as well, Glenn.
Okay.
Or Stan and I. Yeah.
Sure. I would have hated to have done that. All right, that's tomorrow on the program. There will be. I think we're going to do Reading Glenn tonight, by the way. So they'll have an episode of that if you still need to get your Glenn fix. And I can understand.
The Glenn fix.
The Glenn fix.
The old Glenn.
Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Maryland 5-Star, Game Day Men's Health, Live Casino and Hotel, the BMW Championship, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday evening. Yeah, sure. Did we stop saying go Birds?
No, we can say go.
Go.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we want
You're
them-
fully on the other.
Yeah, I'm ready
I'm
for
not
them to lose,
quite there.
but
Tepid go Birds. Duke sucks.